It's been 2.5 years since I was last in Afghanistan. Now I'm back on the front line with Whiskey Company 4-5 Commando. This war has lasted for 10 years, cost billions of dollars and thousands of lives. The Royal Marines I'm with are engaged in a counterinsurgent war against a deadly enemy, the Taliban.
This is a bloke that trained 15 and 16-year-old boys last summer to blow themselves up and kill innocent people. Let's make sure he doesn't get the chance to do it again this year.
I'm with Whiskey Company on their first ever night operation, the aim of which is to capture a Taliban suspect. As we surround his compound, we wait for the call sign to go in.
Charlie 10 Alpha at Bunker Hill. Bunker Hill. Here we go.
I'm with Whiskey Company 4-5 Commando on a covert operation to catch a high-level target suspected of training young suicide bombers. To get to the suspect's compound, we have to travel through rough terrain in the pitch black. There is the ever-present danger of stepping on an IED.
Slightly emotional because in this field we haven't got infrared eyes like these guys have.
Whiskey Company's plan is to split into 3 patrols. The first team will set up an inner cordon to prevent anyone escaping. Team 2 will patrol an outer cordon to stop anyone attacking the inner cordon. And the team I'm with will gain entry and secure the compound. Night operations rely on the element of surprise, but as we approach the compound, every dog in Afghanistan is trying to give our location away. We have our own search dog, Casper, who fortunately for us, has been trained to keep quiet.
Why, that is man's best friend. The other half of his family down the road are proving not to be very helpful to us. That is one of the biggest problems out here. The guys, all of them have guard dogs. See how well trained though. He is. He's not doing anything. He knows he's about to do his job.
Whilst we wait for the other 2 patrols to get into position, Casper goes in to search for explosives.
Send the dog in first, just to the this open area just now. In the first 2 little compounds, so he's going to search that. According to other intelligence, at the moment there's been no movement inside the compound. That's either very good because the suspect's asleep, or it could be very bad because there's no one in the compound.
With us, we have members of the Afghan security forces. They'll be the first to go through the door. This change in policy, Afghan dealing with Afghan, is paying dividends with the locals. The Afghan security forces make their move, and we hold our breath. Then, within minutes, the startled suspects are brought out.
So how many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 males. And how many females?
5.
5 females.
5 females.
Okay, so 11 in total.
It's not lost on me that we must appear to them like aliens from another planet.
Do they actually hold any legally or illegally held weapons? Or ammunition?
No, I haven't.
Okay, we've got a second search pair on another individual. Yeah.
The guys from Whiskey wouldn't be here unless the intelligence was really, really good. They know that the guy that trains suicide bombers frequents this compound and lives here and sleeps here on a regular basis. The fact is, you're not going to make many friends doing this early on a Friday morning, or equivalent of our Sunday morning. However, if the guy that trains suicide bombers is here and he's captured tonight, the amount of lives that have been saved is unquantifiable.
The success of the whole operation now rests on the Marines finding their man.
Okay. So all the
But they also need evidence to be able to prosecute.
First mobile phone.
The mobile phone is one of the biggest sources of information and can lead to a whole network of insurgents.
He said he had one memory card,
Right.
which was the one in the matchbox, which I found. Then he said, asked him if he had any more on the phone, and he said no, then I found this one.
Right.
Mobiles can also have a deadly use, detonating IEDs.
All in one week.
Information now, name of Bravo 1, that is the man that has trained at least 12 to 15 suicide bombers, are now being searched.
But before they can detain their man, they have to find some incriminating evidence. If this test for explosives comes up positive, then this man is in a lot of trouble.
Got a trace of Group B, includes like Semtex.
So the Bravo 1, the main suspect, right hand on his wrist, has proved positive for explosives. So at the moment, it looks like they've got the right guy.
Insurgents will go to any length to hide their explosives, even concealing them within walls. Everyone in this compound is now a major suspect. They all need to be tested and catalogued.
Stunning.
Right, let's go through for...
You got a double tone or something?
No. So the main suspect's been taken through now for questioning.
We're here to help the people of Afghanistan, and he is not someone helping the people of Afghanistan. We know exactly who he is, and we're out to get him. Every day we will come looking for him and his son and his friends. If we find him with suicide bombers, or we find him with weapons and explosives, what we will do is hand him over to the police, and he'll get tried by an Afghan court with an Afghan jury, and he'll go to jail for the crimes he's committed.
After screening everyone for explosives, the Marines have come up with a second man who is a possible insurgent.
Just saying that with the evidence that we've got, we're going to be arresting him, we're going to be taking him back to Bastion.
So, the main suspect, Bravo 1, proved positive for explosives. Can't be anything else other than explosives. Now, a second suspect has proved positive for explosives. So that's 2 people now that will be arrested and taken to Camp Bastion for interrogation.
Tell him to open his mouth wide.
To complete the evidence gathering, a DNA test is carried out on each suspect. This whole process has been gleaned from 30 years of counter-terrorism during the Troubles in Northern Ireland.
So, successful operation. There's more intel behind this than just turning up for no reason. There was hard intelligence to suggest that this man has, trained young men to blow themselves up and kill other people.
And the successful operation today by the lads has, taken this guy out of the picture for a period of time. And that will have 2 effects. A, he won't be able to attack us or attack anybody else whilst he's dealing with these issues. And secondly, it sends a message out to the wider community that ISAF will appear out of the night. They will appear on the doorstep of suspected or known insurgents and are not afraid to do so. And I fully expect other local nationals to come forward now with more information, because they will be slightly less scared or slightly more reassured that ISAF will take action.
Because he's been taken out of the picture. So that's the end of Tora Basha 43. For us guys, we left at 21:15. It's now 09:15, so 12 hours 15 minutes. From the OC's point of view and from Whiskey's point of view, very successful operation. And I'd say pretty proud of the guys at Whiskey Company who at all times performed professionally and also with the utmost courtesy towards the people they were dealing with, even the people they were arresting.
The suspect with the most evidence against him is being airlifted to Camp Bastion to undergo questioning. He will then be handed over to the Afghan authorities. Even though the main suspect proved positive for explosives, he's released as there's not enough evidence to convict him. In a country strewn with IEDs, we were lucky yesterday to patrol without incident. But later that evening, the brutality of this war is made all too clear.
Pride, stand at ease.
Whiskey Company gathered to pay tribute to 2 Royal Marines recently killed by an IED in a neighbouring area of operation.
It is with great sadness that Lieutenant Oliver Richard Augustin and Marine Samuel Giles William Alexander Military Cross, both from Juliet Company, our sister commando unit, 4-2 Commando, were killed in action in Afghanistan last Friday, the 27th of May 2011. They were trying to expand the influence of the government of Afghanistan and were serving the United Kingdom.
Lieutenant Oliver Richard Augustin. Lieutenant Augustin's mum and dad said, Ollie was a much-loved and cherished son. He was a beautiful boy who we were very, very proud of.
On completion of training, Marine Alexander MC was appointed to the Fire Support Group Mike Company 4-2 Commando Royal Marines. He was married to Claire in November 2009, and their son Leo was born in July 2010. Claire, Sam's wife, said, he was our rock and my best friend. he has been taken from me all too soon. I just hope his death is not in vain.
Usually the mortars are used for a very different reason. However, on this occasion, flares are fired as a mark of respect. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time I've been given the privilege to pay my respects to fallen Royal Marines.
Go on your way, Royals. You have completed your last endurance race well. So go forth into the next life with our loving God at your side to run a new race in his kingdom.
Parade, turn up. Parade, to your duties. Dismissed.
Day, the arrival of the post is a welcome diversion from the constant patrolling and stifling heat. It's the first time in 3 weeks that the company have received news from their loved ones.
Marine Morrison. Okay, go for it.
Yeah! I've got beef jerky, chocolate, some socks, obviously, for some reason, and some regular egg sauce to dip into it when they want. So.
Yeah, but it means a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's, especially when you wait so long for it, it's just a nice little taste of home when you get something through.
And the longer the tour goes on, the more important it will become when it arrives, yeah?
Hell yeah.
It's a bit like Christmas Day, yeah?
And I've got Merry Christmas wrapping, so yeah.
Major Paul Maynard is the officer commanding the 140 Marines of Whiskey Company.
The enemy will show his hand at some stage.
He's responsible for leading his men in this new era of counterinsurgency. Give me some idea of where you think the insurgents might be.
My assessment is that this area, particularly up to the north, is used as a facilitation area.
Which is not far from where we are right now.
We're sat right in the middle of it. We're right in the middle of the hornet's nest. This is where they come to bed down. This is where they come to rest. This is where they come to collect weapons, IEDs.
So how do you go about, without giving too much away, how do you go about targeting the people that are supplying the weapons or supplying the IEDs?
This is not a good versus evil battle. This is not a Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker situation. The insurgency covers a myriad of different evils. Very few, I believe, now are religious zealots, ideological fundamentalists. I think what we have are many, many, many shades of grey. The ones that we can target most easily are young youths who perhaps are unemployed, are lost, uneducated, misguided, and they're just looking for a little bit of power, a little bit of prestige, kudos. And they can find that by joining this gang, as they see it. And they get given a weapon or they get given an ID and they get told to go and, you know, fire at somebody or place it. But this is somebody's son, this is somebody's brother, this is somebody's cousin. And out here, family is everything. And if we go in and kill this playground weakling, then we're probably creating 10 or 20 more insurgents that will come back at us the next day.
Which has happened in the past.
So I think it's important that we apply force only when absolutely necessary.
How would you describe your role right now? Are you a fighting major in the Royal Marines? Are you a police officer? Are you a diplomat? Counsellor?
That's the fascinating thing about this type of warfare. I think we're all of those things. But at the same time, we have to be prepared to, at the switch of a hat, react to enemy fire, react to an IED, and take the fight to the enemy. And then in another vein, there is an increasing amount of police work, which is arguably alien to us as military men, We're not trained in police skills, but we are finding ourselves having to sort of take on a detective-type mentality.
As a reactive force, that must be very hard for you guys, no?
I think for the lads, possibly it is frustrating because it is in their DNA to go and fight. They want to go and fight the Taliban. They've spent a long time, for some of them many years, training for what is now their first tour. And they want to cut their teeth, I understand that. But many of them are probably uncertain of what they wish for.
Just left Katina, we're on our way to Millet, and it's one of the other patrol bases in Whiskey's area of operation. There are 2 other patrol bases, and they're at strategic points in order to stop the movement of insurgents. This new tactic against the Taliban is having an effect. When I was last in Afghanistan in 2009, there would have been more day-to-day contacts with the enemy. At the moment, the biggest threat is the IED. I've hitched a lift with a resupply which comes to this base once a week. Fighting the Taliban isn't just about bombs and bullets. It's also about making sure the troops have vital supplies.
So how much water's actually in this camp and how much are they offloading now then?
OK, well, we've got about 2,500 litres left in the shake-ons. We've got about 8,000 litres being offloaded here. So that's going to last us then for about 30 to 40 days.
How carefully do you have to monitor it, mate?
We've gone from using 10 litres a day to using probably 18 litres a day per man now. That includes washing, shaving, cleaning your teeth. Obviously, we're out in the irrigation ditches, so there's urine and faeces in there. So every time the lads come back, they've got to scrub their clothes, they've got to scrub their boots. We keep all the kit outside of the tents because, of course, as soon as we bring that infection into the tent, everyone gets diarrhoea and vomiting and they're out the gate.
DMV?
Yeah, DMV, mate. And once that comes around the camp, you're operationally
it can be spread virally, absolutely.
Exactly. And if you imagine 10 people get it in this PB, that'll be us not patrolling.
Right.
It's hoped that Malit will be handed over to the Afghan security forces in the next couple of months. This transition is part of the overall plan to withdraw combat troops by 2014. Until then, it will be British boots patrolling the ground.
All right, gents, I realise you've been on patrol already today. This is only going to be a short one, so they know that we're...
In charge is Lieutenant Ed Williams. Very recently, his men found a substantial cache of bomb-making equipment.
On the junction outside. Just one from me on those searches. Grocery and grocery wagons led by donkeys. They're stashing weapons and IED components within those wagons, so thorough checks of those. And additionally, something that's come down quite recently is motorcycle saddlebags. Go thorough, go very thorough. Once we've done there, we'll be moving back.
Before we head out, I take the opportunity to talk to Ed, who knew Lieutenant Oliver Augustin, one of the Royal Marines, recently killed in action.
Only 3 days ago, someone that you know, someone that you trained with, Ollie Augustin, lost his life to an IED. And you trained with Ollie and you knew him very well, yeah?
It's an incredible blow, and everything that I've read that's been written about him is so unbelievably accurate. His potential for the future, even as a peer in training with him, his potential and ability was so clear that it's not just him, it's a huge blow to the family and friends, but it's also a massive blow to the Corps as well.
You've already found a cache of IEDs.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. The same sort of thing that possibly killed Ollie. Yeah?
Indeed, yeah.
It must be a bitter pill to swallow when you know that some of the people that are waving to you possibly knew that there was an IED laid up the road that unfortunately killed someone that was close to you. Isn't that annoying? Isn't that frustrating? And doesn't that make you angry?
I think angry's the wrong word, because you know it's happening. There's not a great deal I can do about it to force information from somebody. But at the same time, why should they? They've been in this country that's been in conflict for a number of decades. We're just another foreign force in this area that at some point in the future will remove ourselves.
That's 6 mile for Michael's going to be leaving Mallet shortly.
Every day, the men of Whiskey Company risk their lives patrolling the surrounding area.
All right, lads, as soon as we step off, go out the main gate, just make ready just to get to the main gate.
They do so to provide security for the local people and to keep the Taliban at bay.
So you've got locals right up against the patrol base, yeah?
The most important part of counterinsurgency is to win local support.
Hey, salam alaikum. Sange.
But nurturing this open relationship requires a huge amount of effort and trust.
How are you doing?
I tell you, you know, in the past, this would never have been allowed to happen, because young boys the same age as these ones, pushing wheelbarrows, have detonated them and killed troops. It goes to show how the atmospherics here are very, very different at the moment, and there seems to be a very good relationship between the Marines here and the local populace. Let's hope it remains so.
But with this new openness comes an increased risk. In Afghanistan, it's not always that easy to know who is and who isn't your enemy.
Yeah, we've got a motorbike front.
We've got a motorcycle search up front.
In the last few years, there's been a frightening rise in the amount of troops killed by IEDs. In 2006, 41 soldiers lost their lives to them. 4 years later, that figure jumped to 366. The Afghan people are suffering too. Over 1,000 have been killed as a result of IEDs and suicide bombings. The patrol decides to check the location where they recently found a large cache of IED components.
Where those two guys
are now. You can see just over there now, there are two guys. They're the two guys that actually found the original cache.
You've got one of the two, and you've got the second Valen man that's gone over with him just for another search.
It's a very brave job, man.
It's a ridiculously brave job. Yeah, salam alaikum. Sange. I remember this man. This is the man of the son of the man that owns this field.
Yeah.
So, any more ID caches for us? You sure? You didn't see it put in last time? You sure? He thinks that IED was put in place for the locals, not for ISAF.
Yeah.
He does? Okay.
Can you ask him if he's scared of the insurgents? Is he scared of the Taliban?
Obviously the DFC. Someone's been back looking for it. You sure?
Yeah, mate, just like
definite all the way down to the ground.
No, about 3/4 of the way down. So someone's been digging, looking for it. Got predators, it's not there. And it's been not. So basically there was a cache of IED components to make more than one IED. It was discovered by the guys here. They've come back to where they found it 5 days or so later, and it's clear that someone's tried to find the components.
Patrols like these are all in a day's work for these Royal Marines. I'm interested to know if they think the sacrifices they are making will have a positive effect on the future of Afghanistan. Later that evening, I have a privileged opportunity to talk openly with the lads.
Eventually ISAF forces will leave here. It's said at the moment 2014. What do you think will happen here when they go?
With the timeline that's set, I think the Taliban will filter back in fairly easily.
Pulling out too soon, I reckon. The ANA and the AUP won't be established well enough, I don't think, in the next 4 years to be able to control it. They'll not have, like what we've got, they'll not have air assets and that to help them out.
I'd like to think that we'd still be a mentor in the ANA, AMP, and they'll be able to deal with it. If not, then what have we been fighting for and what have people been dying for? Hopefully we'll be able to deal with it, or this is just a waste of time.
Especially for lads that got injured and stuff like that, you know. Probably they're sitting at home thinking that we're still carrying on the job where they've been injured, lost legs and limbs. You know, if it all goes peak tongue when we've pulled out, they're going to be sitting there, no legs, no arms or whatever, however bad they've been injured, and think, you know, what for? What have I done that for?
I think it's wrong to say that this has been a waste of time, because if you look back, what, Eric 5, Eric 1, this country was in no fit state to look after itself compared to what it is now. The ANA or AMP weren't half as good as what they are now, so we should hopefully have made a difference and they can look after themselves.
When you start hearing rumours that certain places are going to close and we're like, well, how's that? The job's not done yet. And there's one eye on the exit already, and we've not really completed what we've set out to do. And there's a lot of lads that have died out here for what we're trying to achieve. And it'd be shocking if we end up walking away when we haven't finished the job properly.
It's been a surprisingly quiet time on the front line with Whiskey Company. I came here expecting to film firefight after firefight. What I've witnessed instead is a concerted and successful effort to take out mid-ranking Taliban commanders with minimal disruption to the local population. They've also had significant finds of hidden IED components, which have saved innumerable lives. Whiskey Company still have another 4 months to serve of their 6-month tour. But for the moment, my time with them is coming to an end. After months of negotiation, we've managed to gain access to a different side in this war.
Roger, that's my call sign. Just got to container now, we're just unloading. Over.
Well, that concludes our last patrol with Whiskey Company. So far, while we've been with them, not a shot's been fired in anger, and I can only hope when we return that situation has stayed the same and that all the members of Whiskey Company are safe and sound. Whiskey Company are just a handful of the 25,000 troops which occupy Helmand Province. After Obama's surge, by far, the majority are American. For the first time, I'm swapping the bootnecks of Her Majesty's Royal Marines for the leathernecks of the US Marine Corps. I'm traveling to an area of Afghanistan which I know well. In recent years, it's seen some of its heaviest fighting. We're flying 400 miles north of Katina to the town of Musakala. Sitting in the shadow of Mount Doom, this town was handed over by the British to the Americans in April 2010. Musakala literally means the fortress. This is the American headquarters for operations in the region. Major Conway is second in command of the 3rd Battalion, US Marines.
So this is what was known as the White House, correct? Is that right?
Yeah, this is the White House. From what I understand, this was used as one of your command posts. It's got probably the best observation of any building in all of Musakala.
Obviously, many people have been here over the years, particularly the US Marine Corps, but there's the Royal Anglian, which is my family regiment's insignia up there, yeah, just up there, so yeah.
In all these buildings, you can trace the history of who's been here based on the Taliban artwork and the British artwork, and now some of the Marine artwork.
Of course.
All right, we're gonna go up to the top here.
Yeah, I remember this. So this is probably the highest bit of relief you've got here, yeah?
Yeah, this is definitely the command and territory for this this part of the wadi over here. Obviously, the dominant terrain feature is Mount Musakala, otherwise known as Mount Doom.
Mount Doom.
Yep.
Yeah, which I've been up to a few times, not
Have
to
you
the
really?
top. Yeah, around it, up and around it, yeah.
These peaceful scenes are a far cry from Musakala's recent bloody history. It's been occupied by the Taliban, and it's been the site of some of Britain's toughest battles. It is still of strategic significance for narco-criminals and the insurgents. 3 years ago, I was in this very base with Delta Company 5 Scots when we came under rocket attack.
That's IDF.
Right, guys, this guy's going straight into the orange. Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, he's got the small penetration route to the left, upper thigh.
4 to 5-year-old, she's got shrapnel in her back, and they're trying to pull it open, and she's obviously in some severe amount of pain.
She's got a cut in the back.
There's still some bad stuff that goes on up there. We hit an IED along the wadi basically about a month ago, a fairly large IED. Besides that, not a whole lot of contact in the immediate area of Musakala. We, again, have built on the progress that the Brits started, and we've been able to push the security bubble up another 8 clicks or so, just to the west up there of Mount Doom.
The British used to control a relatively small area around Musakala. But now it's been extended a further 5 miles by the Americans. I'm heading to the southwestern edge of the security bubble to Patrol Base Mirage.
Patrol Base Mirage is it's a new patrol base. The last battalion that was here, 1st and 8th Marines, opened it up.
That's a lot further than I would have been able to have gone when I was here 3 years ago.
It was a tough fight, even taking that patrol base in the dirt for that. That was where we believe the insurgents had a lot of their families, and so they fought pretty hard to keep that. And to this day, there's still a lot of contact down there.
So that's where we're going?
That's where you're going. You're gonna be in good hands. The platoon commander down there, great guy. He's probably about 6'5", probably weighs about 230 pounds. Just a beast of a man.
I stand behind him then.
Yeah, if you can, they're gonna. Hopefully they'll shoot the tall guy. His name is Tor Peary.
Tor Peary. And what rank is he?
1st lieutenant. Right. So he's down there running that patrol base alone and unafraid.
Having heard so much about the Americans, their equipment and how they operate, I'm really interested to see how they differ from the British. Kilo Company have agreed to be my host for a week. They are southwest of Musakala, right on the front line.
We've been travelling now with the US Marine Corps for about half an hour. I mean, that would have been inconceivable 3 years ago in terms of travelling this distance without A, getting contacted or even beginning to attempt to make that kind of journey. It's a great testament to the sacrifice maybe and to the endeavour of the guys that have been here in the 3 years that I've been away to have pushed out the security bubble this far. Lieutenant Perry or Tor, yeah?
Yeah.
Ross Kemp, really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, as you can see, this place is a dirt bowl.
Yeah.
But it's our dirt bowl.
It's home.
Yeah, it's home. Yeah.
Tor, being positioned here now, how long will you guys be actually at this patrol base? The whole tour, or will you get moved around?
I'm pretty sure the whole tour. We're the only second unit to actually be here. Before that, this was all Taliban land. Actually, the compound you're standing on belonged to a Taliban commander. His name was Mirage, which is why this code's called PB Mirage. It's kind of kicking the teeth. As you can see, this is our ECP post, commanded by a Marine at all times. We even have our little PB Mirage welcome sign.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
In terms of the security bubble that surrounds Musakala, we are on the edge of the bubble, right?
We are the edge of the bubble, correct. You can see over here, there's a Walton compound with a dark spot right to your 12 o'clock.
Right, just directly ahead here?
Yep, we've taken RPG from that area.
Right.
And AK-47, heavy machine guns.
Living on the edge.
Living on the edge, yeah. All right, moving on.
Just a few weeks ago, this base came under sustained attack.
There's an explosion just there right now, yeah?
Yeah, that was probably an IED. Hey, post 3. Hey, was that us? Do you like a patrol out right now? I might have a patrol out right now. Give me 5 minutes.
Yeah, roger. So, we've literally been at the patrol base 4 minutes. Looked straight out there. As I looked out there, massive cloud of dust and debris, and an IED has just gone off over there. Welcome to the patrol base.